Maybe Ananya or Akshaya ma'am is there.
Sir, they are not attending to today's session. They have informed prayer.
I'm sorry,
Sir?
ma'am. Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Veera here. Good evening, sir. Okay. Madam has joined. RP has joined. Demon Queen, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. Myself, Veera. I'm from the core team. You're not audible, ma'am. So your voice is not audible. Can you check your? Can you unmute? Seems now I can hear. Can you?
So,
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am. Welcome. Yeah. Welcome to our session. And good to have you today.
PPT, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Once if you start the PPT, then we can begin the session after welcome and other.
And I'll just check whether.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it's visible, ma'am. No, you're showing some like, Cisco login seems.
Yeah, perfect.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Sir, you're audible.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Good evening, one and all, and our 288th session of mental health. And like behalf of Department of or team head, Dr. Suresh Kumar, as well the entire core team members. To the associate for Chalamuthu and Madurai Pathology Center, Turkey. Friends, as well, the our today's speaker, Mr. Jamal. Dr. Chandra, ma'am.
Good evening, friends.
Yes, yes.
Yes, Subhasri, ma'am, somehow,
really
but
happy.
feeble it seems.
I'm so happy to use Damon Quaid.
Yes. You're audible, ma'am.
Introduce her. Currently, she is working at the School of Social Work in the PG Department, Social Work, and from 2013 she is here. And prior to that, she was in Project Coordinator in Public Health Foundation of India, Tamil Nadu, and she was also Program Manager in Positive Women Network, and she is a Project Associate for Center for Advocacy and Research. She was in various research projects. I know personally her. She is involved in various funded research projects, and she has been doing a lot of applied and as well as field related researches. And one is to make a mention, this she has done something on department evaluation research, applied research with collaboration with government of Tamil Nadu, and as well as she's right now doing a World Vision project. I know personally, and I have seen her. She's a very welcomed teacher in the campus, and she's a very active and dynamic lady who involves herself in all the activities, and she has been part of the student exchange program for the University of South Australia. That is she has completed her course on mental health from Australia, and very interestingly, her BSc is biotechnology from WCC, and MSc in MCC from from the MSW. Sorry, MSW is from MCC, and and JRF also. She's in fellowship. She had an junior fellowship for her research work. Now at most she has completed her PhD, and she has also submitted, and she's awaiting for her Viva. And I'm really happy because I know her personally. I've seen her delivery in various forums, and she holds many publications, and she is the most preferred and most talented, the combination of teaching, training, and field research. Welcome, Damon, for this webinar series, and you are the most wanted because 3 times your poster appeared,
I know,
and
I
again
know.
we are having you here. Thank you. Over to you, Damon.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. So, am I audible?
You are Damon.
Yes, perfect. All right. Thank you so much for the organizer and especially for Subhasri ma'am for an elaborate introduction. I don't think so I deserve much, but I owe it a privilege for my colleague to have a word about me, and especially in the session, and usually at the end you thank, but I always been amazed by the organizing team for their consistent in the organizing the webinars. Though I come from an academic side, it's not so new in organizing a webinar, but what makes this team very unique is that consistency in doing it. I remember I was part of some 20th or 22nd webinar, and now I am in again close to 200 something seminar. So it talks about your consistency, because organizing is not as much as easier, because the sustainability that you're doing. And as the 3 times that 25th day was scheduled, and then migrants. So today we'll be dealing about so my structure of my session, so it's going to be a 30 minutes the mental health issues, or what are all the health complications that the migrants have. It's very important for us to understand and have a debriefing on the 3 related specific group. Migrants different from them, and refugees. So is there a difference between these 3 subgroups? And then what is the vulnerabilities in the larger movement? And then we'll be slowly discussing about mental health issues, special reference to children and women. And then what is the role of mental health professionals? And when you or immigrants, it's just, the picture will a lot of migration. People think you and I can be migrant at any point of time. So what makes us distinct is what is an identity that we carry. Either we go with a valid protocol, valid all the stipulations, then we would call as an immigrant. Or if there is insecurity issues, striking or prosecution happens, or striking for life and balance, and we move into another nation, then we will call it as a refugee. Or if we are for a employment opportunity or for education, then we will call it as a migrant. So it's lot of things are there. So we'll be discussing that in detail. So when we talk about migrant, there are a lot of things that comes into our mind. 2 major aspects: whether a migrant is a forced one or it's a volunteer one. It's a combination of both. A migrant can be a forced laborer, or he or she can be a volunteered one. Sometimes they can be forced, sent from other nation to one nation as a refugee. Sometimes they can be trafficked into workers, or sometimes they can be a forced labor or some volunteer. So when you look into it, there are different sects of people. It can be talking about a refugee, it can be stateless person, it can be a smuggled or a trafficked migrant, or it can be a migrant. Sometimes it can be regular people undergo a certain protocol and then they move into another nation. It can be asylum seeker. There are so many things are there that comes to mind. So as for OHCHR, in 2014, they have just complemented for a better understanding. Any person, when you look into that, who is outside a state, which he or she is a citizen or a nation. So which means there is origin nation is there and there is a destination is there. So there is a movement from one place to other place. So the reason for the movement and what are the protocols they undergo makes them distinct from a refugee, migrant, and an immigrant. So they can be a temporary basis, or they can be a permanent basis, or it can be or irregular. So people migrant, the reason makes them if a person is migrating for livelihood or economic opportunities, and they undergo certain protocols. Say for instance, they have their citizenship done, then they would be called as an immigrant. So there is a certain protocol. The host nation has to approve them, and the destination place has to accept them. So approval and acceptance are the one which makes them eligible to be an immigrant. So usually people go for an employment opportunity or for higher education. So they have protocol. Say, for instance, if a person is moving from one place to another place, if their host nation has got some war, conflict, or sometimes it can be persecution, so there is no safety for them. So there is a racism there, or there is some kind of a clashes between the communities if they have to forced to move to another nation without any legal documents, or sometimes if they there's no conducive environment, then they can be called as a refugees. Sometimes it can be family reunification, so they are migrant workers, so one of the family member will be working and they wanted to go and join with the family, or the children will be abroad, so it can be a family reunification process. It can be a migrant, it's just a movement of stay for the place of staying with someone. There is a movement there, and there's a various reasons why people migrate from one place. Sometimes it can be violence and exploitation, either in the destination place, or they have wanted a host place, they wanted to move to the destination land. Sometimes to access to healthcare and education. Now we live in an era that medical tourism is one of the major sect that why people migrate from one country to another country. It's mostly from underdeveloped country to a developed nation for better medical facilities. And stigma and discrimination sometimes they might face, so they wanted to move from one nation to another. So these are the different reasons why people migrate. And when people migrate from one nation's one place to another place, there are certain assumptions are there about their health. It's always assumed that people migrate from one place to other place, or if they are an immigrant from one nation to other nation, they're always considered as healthy because of three major reasons. All right. So number one is, only a person who has a good health will have an inclination towards traveling. That's perfectly right. That's how the assumptions are there. A person who's always sick has got a always sick, or the health condition is not better. That is not going to make them eligible to travel, or they don't even have an inclination to travel, because they will have better plan. They doesn't have better plans rather than taking care of themselves. So that is one aspect that we will be talking about. And number two, when we talk about why people don't see themselves associated, why the in traveling seems to be very good associated. Number two is an employability. When people travel for employability or education, they for instance, a screening procedure they have to prove that their medical condition is good. For example, the Immigrant Act of Canada, it says that these people should not possess, if they have to settle in Canada, as per the protocol, visa procedures, these are the disease that they should not have. All right, so these are the medication they shouldn't be taking it. So these are the illness, if they have the visa processing will not be allowed. So so it's an assumption. So when people travel from one place to other place, they always seem to be very healthy person. But we are going to look into the contradictory aspect of it. What has happened? So when you talk about the immigrants, they grow through different stages. So initially it's all so much of happiness, so much so much of expectations. That's an initial period. And then the middle period, followed by a period of disillusionment, during which the depression is common, because when the expectation doesn't meet the reality, that's how you start realizing. Google it, so much we hear about it, so much positive thing. It's more as an assumption that you have. When you go and stay in that place, liking a balance, that's where a lot of issues might arise. And the final is a period of adoption. Adaptation, how do you adapt to the situation, environment, and people? So these are three different distinct stages that people might undergo. And when you talk about the health vulnerabilities, why the health? And one side it says that people who travel, invariably any immigrant, seems that they're all healthy persons because they are moving out. They are moving out for a better employment. Why any people move? Because of better employment, or for better education, or for better health. So it's always in what they are doing it. But when you look to what are the why these are vulnerable to certain risk, when even when you look at the definition of health, it talks about two different components: presence of one thing and absence of one thing. What is the presence? It has to be a balance between complete physical, mental, and absence of disease or infirmity. Also only talks about absence of disease or infirmity. The presence or the balance between the physical, the physical component of a better concept of definition of health, so there has to, though they are eligible physically, they are eligible to, they don't have a supportive and they don't have a that problem or express their problem, cope with the problem or support with that, and that problem gets aggravated. That's how the mental health issues are high among immigrants. And when you talk about the health vulnerabilities, can be defined as a degree to which an individual are unable to anticipate to rest. What a lot of factors that contribute for the recovery. It's not the current pandemic. So in a lot of vulnerability about the pandemic is very closely associated with fear and anxiety. Because associated, and people, just because they are the or economically they sound so vulnerability, psychological paradigm that we need to look in. When people are in isolation, they don't have much of social support, that can bring mental issues among them. Insecurity, as I know of pandemics, insecurity, they will have their loved ones in their host destination or the present destination that will be affected by a lot of diseases around them. So they have this insecurity feeling and the defenseless in the face of risk. Sometimes the shock of stress, or including all these are all the things that makes them more vulnerable. That's vulnerable to our health, especially to the mental health arena. And we talk about, so once they have any other issues, so how are they going to cope up with that? Their coping mechanism and their basic resilience. So when you talk about resilience, there are more of factors, more internal and the external. The external factors can be, one of the external factor can be social support system. When the support system is not very strong for the migrant, that can be one of the risk factor that can be associated with many mental health issues. Resilience plays a major role. And it results from individuals having access to the resources, very important. So say for instance, when they undergo a lot of mental health issues, how comfortable they are, because mental health care can have a lot of cultural incompetencies when in sharing or interventions can have culture can be a major lacuna in terms of receiving the better health care. And when you talk about, there's always a threat that is associated with that. This is the impact of, health hazard. And when there is a resource is a problem, and their social support is a problem, access to the resources and social support, both the things make them will be an important, becomes as a challenge in resilienting themselves. And when you talk about what are the stress faced by migrants, number one is sense of loss or alienation. I remember long back working on a paper on land identity with tribal population. So there was a resettlement that has happened with a bunch of tribal populations. Though the NGO has given excellent resettlement places, good employment opportunity for the youngsters in the community, educational facility which they never had in their own native community, but still there was something lacking. So when we had given an opportunity to do a research on that, we identified that the land identity and the culture has become a employability, a good place, the food, the shelter, everything is given. But the land and the identity, missing of that, they don't feel that sense of belongingness to the community that is given. That has become a stopping factor. That has brought in a lot of mental health issues among them. They whatever it was given to them, they were not able to accept it. They did not own it because there was no sense of belongingness. Immigrants, most of the immigrants would feel that way. How much ever, we would generally say how much ever you get a care in the hospital, they always wanted to come back home. We feeling I the illness get that becomes important stress factor. Language, very important. I've just mentioned only language. It can be the part of leadership for a course paper on mental health in Australia. For still, so now in refugees come and though I was just a trainee, was allowed to do an observation, I started seeing a lot of people come and talk to me. I never possessed any skill on counseling. I never had anything. So one of my supervisor called and asked me, what is that? Why everybody wanted to? I didn't know because I was there only to observe, though there were trained counselors, were there crisis intervention counselors, where there people were coming in. So then one of my supervisors said it could be, looking at me, they were associating myself to be a Sri Lankan. So they were comfortable in talking with a, native language Tamil. So when they came and talked, the majority of them felt very relaxed, though I was not doing any intervention thing. So based on that, on experience, I've also written a blog long time back. So how the language makes them very comfortable. When the language itself is an issue for them, if they're not able to communicate their problems in their own language, in their own way they wanted to express it, that becomes as a major stress factor for them. And again, the finance and the employment stresses. Now, a lot of migrants who had so much of hope going there, now there is a lot of due to this pandemic, when they lose their job, that becomes as a very very important factor, not only for the migrant there, also the families which are left. And so a lot of cultural conflict that can rise. Racism, so I've just mentioned racism and ethnicity. It could be a lot of culture, acceptance of the culture, accepting the new ethnicity, and it could be a lot of stigma and discrimination. So these are all added thing. And unemployment issues, or sometimes it can be underemployment. And again, parallelly, there is a lot of multiple responsibility here. When they are in the host host nation, when they have responsibility, they'll always have some people they can rely on. They can always delegate the work. They can always depend. When there is a position that has been left where they are not able to depend on anyone, there's a lot of pressure that comes in. So lack of immediate supportive network makes them more vulnerable to mental health issues. And when you talk about children, why specifically children, when we talk about, especially under the age, especially these children are the sect of people who might travel for education or due to some kind, usually when they travel as a family, children are the young one who also travel with them. So a lot of issues, my experience working with refugees children as well, I have seen that, the cultural adaptation is, very stressful, associated with a lot of political things, violence sometimes. Sometimes they would have moved from one nation to other nation due to political reason, or sometimes due to the violence. Becomes is one of the important component that can affect the children. Now, about, when they are not accompanied, when say for instance, education is not accompanied by the parents, that becomes that can have an impact, a risk for behavior and psychosocial problems. They can sometimes they won't match up uh, by and familiar segment. And this were I was able to clearly observe the children. Children's have learning attitude, very quick learning attitude. So they adoption a new nation as a family. The youngsters learn that imbibe the culture very easy, and the parents wanted to they adopt the culture very late, and there's always a conflict with the parents and the children's. So this is one makes them very because parents always want them to stick with the traditional values. Though they move from one nation to other nation, their acceptance to the culture is very rigid, whereas this child adopts the culture very quickly, and that brings in a lot of conflict, so I've seen a lot of children's the school children, because it is very mandatory that every class will have a social worker. So when children come, with a lot of issues, especially the migrant children, the immigrant children will have a lot of issues in adopting, accepting with their parents. Again, talking about the disruption of social ties, as you all know that the peer supports are very, very important for the children. When the peer support is disturbed, or when the peer support is very different from the culture, they have this conflict. Then insecurity, feeling low resulting from academic, a lot of things are there. So it can contribute to them. So children have a major mental health issues when compared to other sex of people. So this has also been reflected in 2 to 3 mental health researches among immigrants and refugees, because they always wanted to they always live in an ambiguity about what is happening around, uh, makes them more vulnerable. And when we talk about how as mental health professional can work in that area. So what are the areas that mental health professionals can focus on? When you talk about it, migrants have 3 sets of transition periods. All right. Number one, when you talk about, what is the problem that they have when they have changes in the personal ties. Usually when a migrant have a problem, the underlining can be these 3 easy issues. But what happened, they will not be in a position to understand what they are undergoing, but probably they might not reflect on this. As a mental health profession, it is very important based on my experiences. Number one, changes in the personal ties. The personal ties, when they don't have a person who they can hope for or whom they can share it, that will have a very greater impact in their lives. But they might not realize, they might not understand that is the underlying issue. Understanding what is their personal ties. And number two, helping them to reconstruct the social network. And though they all they know that they are moving into a new nation, then moving into a new destination, they might not have the social, so they will all know it verbally, they will not in a position to understand and accept that. So making them reframing that this is the position, and if there is a possibility, if they can rework or reconstruct network, that can be better opportunity to cope. And number two, moving from one economic and a system to another system, a lot of people, though they move from one nation to other nation with a high expectation, the socio-economic things, either they might be earning it really well, but when compared to that income, income, the expenditure will also be equivalent to that destination country. They will have a problem. I remember that when initially we traveled, so every time, be converted to an Indian rupees. So anything that $250, then converted what? Oh, $250, it comes to 1,600 rupees. But you start comparing it, that becomes a huge issue. A lot of they spend something, they always calculate with the host nation currency. And when they get it as an income, they don't do it. So there's always a conflict between the socio-economic conditions, and they're not able to. Don't from one nation to another nation, there's going to be cultural system, lack of acceptance. These three becomes as a main from having a lot of these are the main need to be worked on. And when you talk about what are the different aspects that need migrants, issues at all these three levels: pre-migration, migration, and post-migration. So when you're working with an intervention process, it's very important to understand which sector which category that your clients are. Number one, the clients can be in the pre-migration period. So it usually have a lot of procedures and disruption to usual social roles and networks. They have to undergo a lot of health procedures. They have to wait for visa processing. They have to write, what are the components. So these are all the issues that are closely associated with the migrant and counseling with the migrant populations. So pre-migration process, and sometimes if one person would be migrated, they'll be waiting for procedures for the other people. So that brings a lot of pressure on them. So and most of the time, if their visa processing gets rejected, and that brings a lot of depression among the family members. So how these people are able to cope up with that could be one of the area in which category that the client process. Number two, when you talk about the migration as a process, during migration, the immigrant can express lots of prolonged uncertainty about their citizenship status. Sometimes, say for instance, as a social workers, I know that most of my students will go there. So getting a license, they have to write write an exam only after going there. So they have to practice social work for 3 years. After that, they have to clear the exam. Only then their licensing will be approved. So there is always an ambiguity. Even if they work for 3 years, they have to get their licensing done. They have to clear that examinations, and then they have to clear 6 supervising. There. So some cases, for instance, Canada. Right? So they will have the issue if they are a social worker. So since I come from that background, they have to practice for 3 years, and for that particular, because that for student who's in Alberta now, right? Currently now practice social work for 3 years, and still striking a balance clear that is. So there's so much of hope that this person wanted to settle there. So migration is not about movement from one place to another, but about the settling process. So getting the citizenship done. So that's one of the important process. There's always a score. So say for instance, if you take about one nation as Canada, so it's not all the states will have the same scoring. So in Alberta, if it is 360 is a score, the other Toronto will have. Yes. So each university will have the scores. There's a lot of procedures there, and to get that understanding about what is that process, that becomes so difficult. When we were there in Adelaide University has got a different score from Sydney University when we have to go. So a lot of are there. It's not about moving from one to another place. So you have to adjust to that. So that makes them mind very stressful, and also makes them exposed a lot. And to the refugees, if they are moving from one place to other places, it expose a lot of there's refugees, and their issues are very, very different sect. I'm not going to delete here because that's totally a lot of human rights issues that needs to be spoken about. So when we talk about the rights are being violated, the mental health issues are mammoth. It requires a lot of time in discussing about. Talk about the same migrants when they move from pre-migration state to migration state. These are the issues, and in post-migration and the resettlement, there's also a lot of issues that are associated with. Once the future status is decided, if they completed everything, if they start settling, that's the stage of adoption. They start adopting. The resettlement usually brings a lot of hopes and optimism, because they structurally they have cleared all the procedures. They have cleared all their procedures, so they would have, for instance, settled with a job, settled with a place to stay. But psychologically adapting to the environment, that might take a lot of time. So which initially positive, the usually the initial stage will have a lot of positive effect. As I said, when their expectation doesn't meet the reality, that will be where, that's where the mental health issues becomes high. And you talk about it, the issues related to disillusionment and demoralization and depression can occur early as a result of my associated. Say during the migration process, a lot of things that might make them, they would be in a stage of waiting, a lot of procedures, everything. So that will bring a lot of disappointments to them. And later, when you talk about it, there are three two major mental health issues. You'll say number one is depression. That's so common. You will see that, as you say, as you know, that the prolonged depression, if they don't have a source to share the problem and there's no positive source that they can rely on, and the support systems are less, and that more vulnerable. Post-traumatic disorders, because when they are exposed to a lot of stress, they're able to accept that. The two major things that you will see commonly among. And when you talk about it, I mean, the initial hopes are not realized. They're not able. A lot of issues that they will have. It does not only affect the migrant, it also affect the entire family. Because of hope, when any person move from one nation to, it can be for better employment, it can be for better education, it can be for better future or anything. If that better is collapsed, if the hope is collapsed, then there is this feeling of worthless associated with major mental health issues. So these are all the barriers that they would face it. And when you talk about it, and the best way that every nations or every immigration center will always have a crisis center. But what happens most of the time, people don't know about it. Access to resources is one of the major issues that you will see it. Whereas in our nations, when you saw when we have when people have an issues, first of all, we live in a country where physical health is given more important, not the mental health. Though we talk more about mental health as if health is only very very closely associated with physical, not with mental health. Whereas in Western countries, health is balanced between physical and mental health. But access, the immigrants have a less access to the mental health resources because there is a lot of issues are there. Once they go and access, I remember when we were a student, one of the related to depression did not have an access. We were saying that a lot of centers were there. What happens when they first go and access mental health professionals? The informations will be given to them because of the better mental health care plan. Might affect these people. So what happens is always an ambiguity about whether the information will be passed, because the mental health care plans are different to each nations. So this is major issues. Accessing to the mental health care plan becomes as a important challenges where people don't speak about it. And again, number two, constant depression, and they don't want to share it with the other family members because they don't want their family members to also have this kind of experience. So when there is no platform for them to express that problem, that becomes more vulnerable for them to experience the mental health issues higher. So these are all the basic issues related to mental problems of people. So if you have any issues related, any questions, major issues that I was talking about. With my experience working with Women's Information Center, with the refugees of street, I have seen two major issues. Number one is depression. talk about depression, again, the major reason it was the lack of support, especially the language support, where they were not able to express what is their problem that they have. That's one of the cultural incompetence that they have in expressing that problem, social network. And number two is post-traumatic disorders. There's a lot of stress are there. They're not able to accept it, and the coping strategies are very, very less. So they don't understand where they can seek for mental health support. These two are the major concerns with my experience working with the centers I have experienced. So any questions that I'm here to respond?
Damon, I think there is no much of questions because I could see in the chat box.
Okay.
There is nothing much of a question because it's a very new topic for them also.
Mm-hmm.
I request if the participants have any questions, kindly unmute yourself and you can ask Professor Damon.
Ma'am, can you hear me? This is Chandra here.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for the nice thoughts and presentation, ma'am. Currently, we are living in the UK and we have undergone most of the things that you have mentioned in this presentation today. So agreed. So what I would like to know is like, we keep moving to different countries as a part of the job requirement and the contracting. Every time you process a new kind of application, you undergo a certain, stress or whatever you call. But after having your visa, you are out of it. Next time,
Yes.
you go through the same thing. One way or the other, you get affected. But do you have any suggestion to ease the process of thinking, meeting out different situations or requirements?
All right. Say, for instance, when you want to apply for any country, there is a procedure that you're applying for, and the procedure has to be accepted as a procedure. Because so every time you think that I'm going to the procedure might take 2 months or the procedure might take 3 months, write that as a procedure problem, because it has to be undergone that way. I remember when we were applying student, we had this IELTS examinations. My but the in the university they said it has to be 9. And then university from Madras University has to clear that as a long procedure. I knew about what is that, and I'm happy that we want that only as a procedure. So it was registered in our mind. A procedure we would have got 9, our procedure would have been smooth. Since we have got 8, so make that as a procedure, understand that as that. So accepting that, instead of that, when you think that as a problem, yes, that's a problem. There's a two-way that you're looking at a problem. The problem is always that what is your perspective looking at that? And that's there. And, pre-planning things can work out well. As a family, when you sit, so what are the procedure has to be done? There's always a learning that you take from one country. If the visa processings are there, what are the learnings that you had, and being prepared for the next thing makes much easier. That's what I say.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your answer.
And again, when you have a problem with the procedures, each visa processing will have a center. So if you go So when we had, say, for instance, when we were a student, so when we went as a student, there's always in the universe, there's always a crisis center was there. So we would all and what else? So would have seen any student like us. So it will make us prepared. So do not hesitate to ask for help. So each destination country with a visa processing, there is always a crisis center will be there. Access them. So what are the possible problems that you might could have that could be avoided much earlier if so asking for a support?
Very true, ma'am. I agree to whatever you have said because we have got a HR team here to support us completely. But still, I just wanted to listen to your thoughts of how to approach that kind of situations.
Yeah.
So I completely agree to what you
Perfect.
said. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Damon, I have an kind of an, it's not a question, it's a doubt actually. Uh, may I ask?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is regarding when we are talking about, especially with the refugee and other aspects, when you mentioned. So the migration and immigration policy for the normal people who are going for their higher education, who is going for career development, that is totally different. For the refugees, the protocol is totally different. No, in that case, is that there are people to assist them to go through the process and also help them to understand how, no, that is, as you mentioned right now, it is a procedure rather than a problem. But for them, the identity of themselves itself been questioned in many places. So whether I belong to this place or that place, there are a lot of psychological trauma they undergo when they have been suddenly taken off from their own native or suddenly thrown into some other place, or because of some issues they are into a foreign country. So if you really look into that scenario, how they have been given support system to go through this and as well as manage their process of this transferring visa or something.
Ma'am, as far as refugees are concerned, there are two types of refugees. One are refugees, one are illegal refugees. So when you talk about legal refugees, they will always be encamped in a destination nation will have for boot camp for them. So each camp will have a certain officers. Say for instance, in part of Madurai, we will have a Sri Lankan refugees camp. So there will be an officer for that. There will be a health officer for that, assisting and everything. So these are all the legal people who have some kind of a document traveling from refugee because that host nation has gone some not conducive for them to live. So when they travel with certain legal document, they will always have an access. They will always have an access to support. So when you talk about the illegal refugees, so when they don't travel with any, say for instance, people travel from having issues in Palestine or issues in Israel. When they want to travel, they travel with a document. When they don't travel with a document, they don't have certain no protocols to protect themselves. First of all, they are illegal. So when they are illegal, they don't have an access to any kind of a health resources. They don't have an access to basic food and shelter. When the basic, as Maslow's hierarchy said, that when the basic thing is disturbed, the entire system is being disturbed. So that's not only the for mental health, any even the physical health is under a big stay there. As far as the legal refugees are concerned, say for instance, we have refugees from Burma coming and settling. We have a Refugees Act there. So when they come and settle in these parts, they will have to, our employment. They are certain are there for them, and there are certain monthly pension schemes are there for certain refugees. So our nation, we have a border nations, so have been protected. So when you look into the issues, we have to look at whether they are legal migrants or whether they're illegal migrants. The legal migrants from Australian that is given to them, and they have their settlement colony there. So if they migrants, I think that's a bigger issue. That's an unnoticed one because we don't know who is illegal without any documents. So that's where makes them very vulnerable, illegal migrants. When they travel with a legal system, they have certain protocol to protect themselves because they will be put in a camp. The camp will have certain protocol, having a health officer, not necessarily a mental health officer. The health officer will be there. If the basic needs are met, somehow the other things can be met. Are we waiting for any questions or we are done?
Oh, wait, I got disconnected. I'm just now joined again.
Okay, okay,
Thank you so much.
okay.
I'm very
Okay.
sorry. So this was regarding. Thank you so much for that answer, and I came to know about some, the policies also regarding that. Thank you so much, Damon. I request Chandra to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Diamond ma'am, for your nice informative session. On behalf of the core team and also the organizers of this series, we heartfully thank you for your time in sharing your thoughts and experiences about the changes that happens in the minds of the immigrant workers. And having undergone such processes, I can completely understand what you're trying to explain. It was more about creating awareness and also about taking in front to people to make them realize what is happening. For most of the people, it is like abroad is always green. For most people that we have heard, I cannot generalize this. Mostly people think being abroad is really a green thing. But you have really explained in a clear way that there are also hassles and barriers to achieve that position. And we respect that. Thank you very much for your information, inputs, and everything, and your time as well for being here this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
also, I
Thank you.
thank the participants for being here to support us every evening and also today's session. Thank you. And tomorrow we can meet in another session. So see you all. Have a nice evening. Thank you.